Hey, what's up? Conscious Approach is here. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are back for another stream. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. And thanks to everybody who's been hitting that subscribe button, leaving
You
comments, liking videos, letting us know what you think about the commentary in each of our videos. And for anyone who has not done so, if this video happens to pop up on your algorithm, man, and you check us out, and you like, the contents of the video, you like the commentary, or even if you hate the commentary but you appreciate the grind, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, man. Hit that button, hit like the video, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Let us know where you think we went wrong. Let us know where you think we went right, because it's all love, baby. But uh above all else, man, we appreciate the support. Thanks for tuning in as we continue to kick this logical content. JV Wins, Dogon SS here on Conscious Approach on YouTube, as always.
you
And with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started, man. We are going to kick things off with a hip hop OG in the game, Questlove. For any of y'all tweens out there, there is a legendary hip hop band called The Roots. Questlove is the drummer of The Roots. If you do not know who The Roots are, I advise you to go and do some homework on them, because they are somewhat legendary. And just because they are old and you're young, it doesn't mean that they are any less legendary. So do yourselves a favor and check out The Roots if you are unfamiliar with who they are. But Questlove is the drummer of The Roots, and he believes that the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef is emblematic of the death of hip hop. He believes that hip hop is truly dead,
no.
in light of what is going on with the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. So we've talked about the Drake and Kendrick stuff, on previous videos on the channel. So if you want to check those out, go ahead and do that. Of course, just hit up the video section of the channel. You can go ahead and check those out. But Questlove thinks hip hop is dead, man. So to provide a little context before we give our thoughts on what he had to say, this article here from Hot New Hip Hop says Questlove says hip hop is truly dead amid Kendrick Lamar and Drake's feud. Questlove isn't enjoying the beef. Questlove says no one is winning in the war between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and that the antics from the battle show that hip hop is dead. He shared his take on the beef in a post on Instagram on Tuesday, following a dramatic weekend that included both artists dropping several diss tracks aimed at one another. Nobody won the war, he wrote. This wasn't about skill. This was a wrestling match level mudslinging and takedown by any means necessary. Women and children and actual facts be damned. Same audience wanting blood will soon put up RIP posts like they weren't part of the problem. Hip hop is truly dead. In the caption of the post, he added, "Here we are now. Entertain us." So that was what he had to say. Lamar and Drake have been beefing since the release of Future and Metro Boomin's Like That back in March. On the song, Lamar called out both Drake and J. Cole for mentioning him on First Person Shooter. In the time since, Lamar and Drake have dropped several diss tracks aimed at one another. Last weekend, which was actually the weekend before, at the time of the publishing of this article, the drama peaked when the two dropped Family Matters and Meet the Grams on the same night. Through the rest of the weekend, Lamar dropped Not Like Us, which Drake followed up with The Heart Part 6. On the songs, both made vile accusations about one another. The drama has remained quiet in the days since, as fans have been arguing over the winner. So there is Questlove's post there on Instagram. But yeah, Questlove thinks that hip hop is truly dead, and I guess he's commenting on like us, or like the people who support the genre and our thirst for the beef and how we have, championed it to continue. But he looks at the beef as like mudslinging and is, not really laced with a whole lot of facts, and so he's just not here for it. And he thinks that hip hop is truly dead as a result. So what do you think about Questlove's thoughts on this? Do you think the Drake and Kendrick beef is emblematic of the death of hip hop? You think he has a point there?
I think he does have a point in the sense that rap has or hip hop has gotten to this point where bars really don't matter, even though Kendrick has been bringing bars to the table. But in order to win over the audience, it seems, um, the audience this time around wanted some blood, and the artists have been providing that, which is why there's a lot of people satisfied and a lot of people overly satisfied, like myself. It was way too much stimulation for me. I'm kind of like, whoa. I didn't want no more songs. It was overload, and it was to the point where some people was like, "Hey, look, I didn't even catch up with it all." So it
I had
was
to get, yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
music overload, bro. So but it fed the streets exactly what they wanted. I think everybody came away um full, if you will, if they wanted to be involved in this and witness it. With all of that stuff being said, I wasn't a fan of that either. I'm not gonna lie. Um, you know, the bringing families and stuff involved. I felt like that was I wouldn't have went there. I feel like there's other ways to embarrass one another without bringing in family. Um, and so with those things being said, the people really didn't seem to mind. And I just think that this is just more of a reflection of where society is than so much the art. And as far as the actual bars and uh, hip hop was done justice with a lot of Lamar's verses, a lot of the double, triple entendres, the beat selections, flows. Drake, from that perspective, showed why um, a lot of people like his stuff as far as his ability to make something catchy, flow on beat, have good timing, and all of that good stuff. So to me, it was a good battle. It was a good swinging of haymakers. I enjoyed it. So Questlove, on the other hand, coming from, like you said, a legendary rap group, hip hop group, and by the way, Black Thought is just out of
Yes,
there.
yes,
Like
yes.
honestly, bro, like just randomly, he's honestly top 10. Just thinking off the top, but yeah, he's like up there, bro. Like if there was like if I had like two people I can put on a song for them to knock it out the park, it'd be him and Andre, and they'll do it justice, or Nas. So all three of them, yeah, man, my brain will explode. So that probably, hey, don't tell me they got a track out there somewhere. I ain't find it. But nah, so they uphold the craft. So him coming from an old guard, seeing that it got so messy. Hey, I didn't like all the tea. I'm not a tea guy. And a lot of the old heads, they didn't care for. They called it gossiping. They didn't care for the gossip aspect of it, and me either. I just wanted just technical bars and flows and jabs at character, but we're going down the list of allegations.
Hmm.
So, and to have an anthem with allegations riddled all over it, it is madness. Sometimes when I'm sitting there listening to, I'm like, oh, these are crazy lyrics.
Yeah.
These are crazy. And last thing I'll say, no, I'll let you go. I'll save that for the next point. So, what are your thoughts on Questlove? Him saying that this rap battle has just essentially shown that hip hop is dead.
I agree with him in that the battle basically degenerated into mudslinging. I do agree
Mhm.
with that. And based on some of the things and the clippings that I've read, some of the stuff being said on both sides is like speculative at best. So we
Mhm.
don't even know what's true and what's not with this stuff, which is a
Mhm.
big problem that I have because I do have a rooting interest in this. And I would prefer it if my rooting interests couldn't be called out for lying on any particular thing. So it's unfortunate that the truthfulness of a lot of the stuff that they're talking about is being called into question, regardless of whether you like Drake or Kendrick. So I hear him where he talks about the mudslinging part of it because I do feel as though it degenerated into mudslinging, messy stuff,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein type stuff. That part is unfortunate. I don't think that has any place in rap beefs per se.
That's
You know,
wild.
the stuff with the stuff. I don't really put um the women stuff and the domestic stuff. I don't really put that into the mudslinging category because that's been a part of the fabric of hip hop beats for as long as I can remember. I don't know how it was going on before my time, but I know that during my time and everything after that, that's been a part of it. They'll bring up the dude's baby mama or his wife or the women.
Mhm, mhm,
So as messy as it may be, I don't really put it into the mudslinging category because I don't know anything different than that. Like they've been doing that. So that part to me is kind of on par. But I disagree with him when he talks about how this I feel as though he's suggesting that this is emblematic of it truly being dead. I don't know if he's saying that this killed it, but if he is saying this killed it, I would have to respectfully disagree because it was dead long before this beef. I don't really think that this beef killed the genre, killed the culture, killed hip hop. I don't think so. I think that this is basically a symptom of what is already dead. It's like the rotting carcass, like before like a carcass starts to rot and you smell that smell, it was already dead before that. The smell just comes in the aftermath. And I think that it's been dead, in my opinion. But this is like, this beef, so to speak, and the mudslinging aspect of it is like the smell that you smell once the carcass starts to rot. That's how I see it. Because honestly, I think what killed it is two things. Um, a a depreciation for skills, lyrics, and bars,
mhm,
right? Over both from an industry standpoint and from a fan standpoint,
mhm,
because when it comes to the fan aspect of the music, and I guess this is an evolution or a de-evolution, depending on how you look at it, of the fanhood behind the music, there has been a gradual decline in adherence to skills and bars and lyrics as something that people crave in the music. I've observed that as something that has happened over time. People just don't care about it as much anymore. And it's why I've often lamented that my expectations for fans of this music is depreciably low compared to the way it used to be. Because I don't have expectations for people to care about the things that matter, in my opinion. I just think people want to be able to dance and have fun and don't necessarily care about skill or substance or truth for that matter. They just want to be able to bop, which is why correctional officers can talk about selling drugs and music and people don't care that he's a correctional officer. People don't care about authenticity. Like our standard has dropped so low, it's dropped so precipitously
mhm,
that we as fans no longer care about authenticity and standards and transparency. We just want the beats and the songs, even if the person is lying. You can get somebody like Fat Joe who says I've lied in 95% of my songs, and he can say that publicly and still continue to make songs, and no one's going to care if the song is catchy enough. Well, this guy just said he lies in 95% of his lyrics, so you're still going to love his music. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to stop being a fan of Fat Joe. I'm just kind of using him as an example that we no longer care about authenticity in the music. We don't care about the bars, the skills, the lyrics. So, in my opinion, that's one thing that killed it. And that happened a long time ago. And the other thing that killed it for me, and I've said this before, is overall lack of journalistic integrity. Like this era of content creators and people having their own platforms, and everybody's on YouTube, everybody has a podcast, everybody has a radio show, everybody is trying to get into the media game. The media game is so oversaturated, and when you're in a saturated market, what sets you apart isn't necessarily your talent or your diligence or your discipline to the craft. It's the things that you can do to set yourself apart. And when it comes to this music game, what sets you apart in the media game is being able to have relationships with artists and other people in the industry. You need to have them on your show. You need to have them on your platform, because if you can get one of these rappers to be on your podcast or your radio show, but other radio shows can't because you have that relationship, well, that's obviously going to set you apart. What happens in lieu of you trying to make sure that you can keep those relationships going? Well, now everyone's too chicken shit and afraid to call out music for being bad if it's bad. Like it's completely eliminated journalistic integrity in the music. So now rappers can put out trash music and everybody says it's going to be good, because you don't want to alienate any artists, because you want to curry favor from them so that you can get them on your show. You can get them in your book, you can get them in your magazine, your podcast, your radio show. Everyone is too afraid and chicken shit to call out bad music, bad quality, bad product, bad art, because you don't want to make none of these sensitive ass artists mad. So when across the board, every radio show, every beacon or bastion of journalism within the industry isn't actually being journalistic, isn't critiquing, they aren't calling out a bad album for being bad, they aren't calling out a trash album for being trash because everything is good, everything's a classic. Well, now there's no standard. And if there's no standard, of course you're going to keep flooding the market with this diluted sludge, as you like to call it. So I kind of feel like simultaneously, those two factors are the things that killed this thing. And now, in the aftermath of its death, we're starting to smell the rotting carcass, which is mudslinging and hip hop beefs. So I hear where he's coming from. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's entirely wrong. I would just say that he's a bit incomplete. I think it was dead long ago, and what we're doing now is smelling the rotting carcass.
Yeah, I can see that. And because that's pretty much what I think right now, is just that where people like is this level of entertainment. They like I said, they like tea, they like dirt. And when you like dirt, mudslinging gets it done. And unfortunately, uh, but I would also say my observation from this, uh, because if you do go back and watch, when we did cover this Drake Kendrick thing, before the songs actually started dropping, I mentioned that Kendrick's got a lot of ammunition. Drake is he has a reputation out here, and Kendrick took it there. He took it further. I was hoping he would destroy his career with this, and I think he did. It's still, the dust still is yet to settle, but it's gonna be hard to come back from a lot of this stuff. And now his narrative is out there now. Now everybody pieced it together that he's a Degrassi Nickelodeon kid, and he came up in privilege. He more or less got groomed for the position. He got plugged in with the right people. He had people writing for him. So everybody knows the score now. So we don't have to consider him hip hop anymore. And Kendrick intended to do that. And he also wanted to get, in my opinion, because the reason why I like Kendrick so much before all of this stuff was I felt like he was trying to do something. I don't feel like he was just rapping. I don't feel like he was just trying to be an artist. I felt like he was trying to do something, like how I be talking about with Andre 3000. And part of his things on his to-do list was to clean things up. And I felt like Drake was always on his board to get rid of this guy. If you understand the science of words, words, okay, so words can cast spells on people. And that's what the word spell comes from when you're spelling something out, is to, perform magic on them. And the thing about the English language is it has a lot of ways to mean other things, and you can craft some pretty good spells on people. One thing that Kendrick did to Drake's life with a pen was put a hex on this man's life and legacy. And this is why they say the pen is mightier than the sword. Because he could have, somebody could have done something to Drake, and Drake would have been a martyr. or you can write something down and just destroy this man's life and legacy for history. And that's what he did here. And I'm my thing is, when it comes to uh principalities in the world, when you're dealing in a spiritual warfare, as I like to see this situation, it is war. And when you're dealing with war, we're not dealing with art anymore. So this is why I feel like where Quest is coming from, he's coming from just a strictly artistic perspective. I don't think that's where Kendrick was operating from. And if you listen to some of his lyrics, especially when he was talking about saying stuff like, you know, considering what God is considering, and then he told him, "You don't know nothing about that." And I've also mentioned on here plenty of times where, you can make any kind of bop song you want, and that doesn't require any skill. But if you're actually trying to convey a message and you're actually trying to piece something together to try to change lives, that requires something. There's conviction in the heart when you write something crazy on a paper and say, I can't say this to the people. And that's what Kendrick does. That's why he stays away for 4 or 5 years. And that's why Drake comes out every year, because he doesn't do that process. That process needs to go. And Drake adds to that filth. And I felt like Kendrick had to get in that mud and sling some stuff around a little bit to wreck some shop a little bit to get that entity out of this business, or anybody else that wants to operate like that when everybody just witnessed this. So it had to get ugly, unfortunately. But I think that it was a necessary evil, in my opinion. And if we want to just keep it bars and stuff like that, the reason why it's dead is because of people like Drake, in my opinion, and not like Kendrick. So yeah, I think it was an interesting battle. I'm still watching. Dust has yet to settle, but as of now, the streets is giving it to Kendrick, and so am I. I agree with Quest in one dimension, but in a higher dimension, I would say that it was necessary.
Yeah, I hear that. I hope you're right. I've been complaining about Drake for a long time, and I was just a hater when I was doing it. And and now that this comeuppance is taking place, I feel rather vindicated, because I kind of feel like all the stuff that I used to be talking about,
Yeah.
it's kind of how I called it. Nothing seemed right with this guy from the jump to me.
Agreed.
But
Same.
it is what it is. It's just, for me, I hope you're right, but you know how I feel. I get kind of, when it comes to the person, I have faith in individuals. So the person to me is smart, thoughtful, understands nuance. And so I don't have an issue with having faith in the person.
Mm.
It's people in general that I've lost faith in, the collective. I have very low expectations for people. And I have seen people over time gradually not only accept, but embrace low standards across every aspect of human existence, whether it's, you know, what you purchase, what you buy, the cars you drive, the houses you buy, the relationships, the marriages people get in. People across the board are embracing lower standards, and I include entertainment consumption into that as well, music. So I just kind of look, I hope you're right. If I'm going to be optimistic, I would say I hope you're right, but I think people may not see it that way.
They're
and
not.
and as and as you wait for the dust to settle on what will be the ultimate referendum on this whole situation,
Yeah.
there's still a big part of me that believes that people are not going to allow Drake to go away. They are going to continue to
Oh,
champion him
yeah.
as like a big part of this music thing. But I agree. But I'm on your side. I was never really a fan of what he stood for personally, and this is once again coming from somebody who did say often that I felt that Kendrick's solo albums were a bit overrated. Just from a musical technical standpoint, not necessarily knocking his skills or his message or his higher calling, so to speak, but
Correct.
just listening to it to my ears sometimes, to me, it was a bit overrated, even though I have a tremendous appreciation for what he did. But I don't know. When it comes to this thing, I just don't trust people. I don't trust people to get it, and that's just honestly how I feel. And Drake has his agents
Oh yeah,
in who have influence, putting the tea leaves out there that it went the other way. You got people like Charlemagne and what's her face, the loud chick who always complain about stuff, Azalea Banks, complaining about Azalea Banks straight up said Drake Kendrick songs were trash,
yeah,
and she even mudslinged on Drake when this ain't have nothing to do with her. But he has his agents in this situation who are going to do their due diligence to ensure that there's at least a sizable portion of the narrative that is depicted in such a way that Drake didn't come out, because it's not even winner, loser, whatever. It's bigger than winner and loser. Like you said, it's about what his place in the fabric of the music and the genre represents from a content standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, and how that stuff does need to go away, in
it
my
needs to
opinion.
go. It needs
And
to
I think
go.
for you, and I think for you believe the same thing. Like, it needs to stop.
Hmm.
It really does. But I don't know, man. We'll see. But to Questlove's point, I think that this is like, we're smelling the rotting carcass. But to me, it was dead a long time ago. And his place in this has a lot to do with its death. He was at the forefront of a lot of these themes being propagated to the point
Yes,
where it's popular.
yes,
Drake had a lot to do with pay for vagina no matter what. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Drake had a lot to do with wife up these strippers and adult film stars.
yeah.
He had a lot to do with a lot of this simp stuff that's going on in the streets. He
Correct.
was inventing a lot of that sound 10, 12, 13, 15 years ago.
Yep.
And everybody thinks it's cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. But that was when it was killed. Now I just think the carcass is starting to rot and we're smelling it. So I think he's right. I don't think he's wrong all the way. I think he's right, but I also think he's a bit incomplete. And
Yeah.
I hope that once the carcass ceases to smell, that we can just move it off the road and have a clean carcass-free road moving forward.
Well, yeah, and I'll say this, to tie it all in, man, you're right. It was dead. And a lot of things go in cycles, man. And to quote Mufasa, bro, it's the circle of life, man. And one thing about that carcass, man, it's going to turn into the grass, and the antelope is going to eat the grass. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to eat the antelope. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get right back to it. And I hope I really feel like, to put that in perspective, I really think that this is going to help spark. At first, when we talked about this, I was like, this ain't going to inspire NLE Chopper to start right, and Blueface to start spitting bars. But I think a lot of young people that witnessed this saw Jordan play for the first time. And it was like, oh, that's what bars is. And it's like, yeah. Now get in the lab, because that's what rapping actually is, if they were paying attention. And so hopefully this could spark a renaissance. That's my, that I'm putting that out there, that this will help spark a renaissance. But you're right, bro. The carcass is obvious. It's there. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I hopefully it's decomposing.
Yeah.
In the earth.
Yeah, for sure. I do. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Shouts out to Kendrick. No matter, at the end of the day, shouts out to Kendrick. I do think he is doing a tremendous justice.
Mhm.
Um, he could not have put it any more succinctly when he said, "It's not." I say "we" because I'm what the culture's feeling.
Yeah, bro.
'Cause that spoke to my heart when he said that.
Hey, man.
It really did. So, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I do.
Hey, man. You make music that pacify him. I make music that electrify him. Hey,
Yeah.
man, he said it, man. Hey, and guys, by the way, let us know in the chat, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Questlove? Do y'all feel like hip hop is dead, or do you agree with us to the sense of, hey, man, hopefully there may be some renaissance in the future? Who knows? All right,
Yeah.
so let us know in the comment section, guys. We would like to know for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Shouts out to Questlove, man. Legend in the game, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Black Thought, where you at? Screw.